I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Ricky, do we do a roll call usually on work sessions?
Oh, yeah. Should do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Michael Cashman, who's absent.
I saw him.
Thomas Wood.
Well, I might be here.
Meg
No, I think I'm
Here.
here.
Barb Beaver.
Here.
Charles Costick. Here. James Coffey.
Here.
Rick Collins.
Good. Okay. To start off, we have a guest, Dr. Palmer, the superintendent of Peru School, is going to present on the budget and the proposed capital project, and tell us probably when the vote is.
Well, I appreciate it very much for taking the time.
Thanks for coming.
You'll see me more often. I'll come to some of
Thank you,
these.
Dr.
But
Palmer. Great.
this is the latest thing that just came off the, if you want some extra for anybody who does come in, you're more welcome. And then the other, that's just the latest.
Thank you.
It's actually good news. We're actually decreased a little bit. We went from about 20 cents cheaper than we were before. And then also this is our flyer for the, So anyway, here tonight, I was hoping maybe a little bit, but just to share with you. So what's going on in Peru is we're putting out a $49 million budget this year, a 4.21% increase, a tax levy increase of the maximum allowable of 2.1%. And at the same time, we also had, probably as you guys did, we had a major hit this year in health insurance. We had a $1.6 million increase in health insurance from last year to this year. So that was an astronomical fixed cost. It's a cost driver in our budget that basically dictated what we were doing this year. So we had to cut $800,000 out of our budget. So some of the cuts were some of the reductions in services we do with BOCES, try to minimize our at-risk things for our programs for children. We did have a vacant music position that we're filling, but only at 0.6% versus a full-time. Cut $20,000 out of sports. Some coasters that are aidable with BOCES. So we try to be as diligent as we could and also affordable to the kids. So at the same time, you're cutting a budget and you're doing a building project. How do you do both? And that's what we try to explain, and I've been going out to all the towns and at least explaining was we have an $18 million building project that we're proposing to the public. It's a not sexy type project. It's a very essential, basic thing. Internally, you're looking at some plumbing, you're looking at doors, you're looking at windows, exterior, you're looking at asphalt replacement, you look at pointing of some of the old brick and block. The only thing that we have that shows for the taxpayers are three small things. We're spending approximately $8 million in the elementary school, $8 million in the high school, and about $1.5 million in our bus garage. Our bus garage is to bring it up to, and I won't say the code, but bring it up to a more respectable level. The only thing that we're actually building outside that taxpayers will see is what we're building a 4,000 square foot barn, or outside venue for our building and grounds people to store their equipment. The thing is expired, basically what we have presently. It's in really rough shape. The other two things that we have that people will see besides the essential things of just the reconstruction, and as you see the theme of our thing is restore, renovate, and rejuvenate. The only thing that we have that we're really doing for the kids and for the community is we are proposing also lights for the football field. It's a $365,000 purchase, but the thing that really has come around with technology, as you talked about today, was it's about $6 per night to run with the LEDs and stuff. And the other piece that we're going to do with that is we're going to also open the football field up to soccer events also, make it a more municipal thing than just 3 or 4 football games and shut it down. Have boys and girls varsity soccer games, have the football team there, also track meets in the spring. So opening it up to more of an open venue for more than just what traditionally has been football. The other thing is our wrestling, and our wrestling program has been very strong over the years. It's a 24-foot space. We're gonna cut it in half and have a first and second floor. The second floor will be a designated wrestling room for the kids to practice and work out in. And then in the off season, we can allow that because it'll be permanent. It'll be just like rug. It'll have a permanent wrestling mat on the ground. So if people wanting to use the facility for Zumba or for any type of aerobics or yoga or whatever, that will be for the public also. The first floor is going to be a new weight room, a new community room, fitness center. So that fitness center will be used by the students and the athletes during school and after school, and I want to open it up to the community in the evenings at no charge. It's taxpayer dollar, and we want to also thank the public for that, but also it's an opportunity for the public to probably use it like 6 to 9 at nights. So there'll be a chance there. Also in the front end of that community center will also be 2 new bathrooms and a small concession stand that will be allowed to be used for the football facility. Those are kind of the glamorous things, if you call it that. That's all that we have. Everything else is the essentials. Plumbing, windows, roof replacements, and it's probably going to be a 2-phase project. If we get it approved, which is the budget vote is next Tuesday, from 12 to 9 at one location. It's at the high school. It's in a gymnasium. We're also going to have a lot of opportunities for people to see a lot of the great work that our kids are doing, because we're doing a whole exhibit in the gym also, so people get to see some of the products that their taxpayer dollars going to. And if it passes, it'll take about 9 months to end up getting this accomplished with the architects. The problem after that is going back to the New York State Education Department, which is approximately 35 to 50 weeks right now. It's up to 11 months just to get it looked at. You know, you have to have it from a mechanical standpoint, electrical, and all those components. So the real start time is with about the next 2 years. We will not be able to actually break ground until probably 2020, with the 2020 and the 2021 phase 1 and phase 2 of it. So that's where we are right now.
Has this been a long, like, in planning a long time?
Yeah.
Because you're brand new, so.
Yeah, so I have to give credit to the business official, Mr. Randy Stapp, and the previous boards, because what they had done and the payment of it, to share that part with you. Thank you for bringing it up. So they did some careful, prudent planning, and they had a capital reserve that they developed about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were putting money into it. You know, as you get a little bit of extra money coming out of your budget, if you don't spend it out 100%, say 95, they put it in there. So they accumulated over the years 1.75 million. So you can do that in New York State, but you have to put it particularly right to that one particular thing. The other thing was they took $700,000 out of the unappropriated fund balance for 2.4 million total. That's the local share. The one thing good about Peru right now is, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it's positive, is we're getting 88% state aid on buildings. So it will not be an increased cost to the taxpayers, because as we're retiring debt, we'll incur this new debt and we'll keep it flatline. So that's where we are, and that's how the finances came out of that.
Dr. Palmer, you gave us a dollar figure for your increase in your health insurance. What was the percentage, can you recall?
Yeah, it was 10%.
Okay.
January 1, no, it was more than that.
Oh,
January 1, mid-year this year, went up 10%. So my first day on the job, health insurance went mid-year 10%. As of July 1 this year, it's gone up 13.5%.
And the national average, I wish I knew that, I apologize, but
Yeah,
is it lower than that, or?
well, talking to a number of my colleagues throughout the state, and I came from downstate, everybody's taking major hits, 17, 18%. When you're doing this, the self-insured, the consortium type pieces, you're taking drastic hits right now.
Yeah.
What percentage do the employees contribute to that?
At Peru, sir?
Yeah.
All of them contribute, but it's at different levels based on contractual obligations.
What would be the range?
Well, the range is going to go from 0%, because retirees, if they retire, they're eligible for, at this time anyway, negotiated as free, 100% coverage, to, I'm the greatest right now, 15%. But your probably average range of your employees are running anywhere between 3% and 10%.
How many educators to be let go or furloughed because of the decrease?
Educators as in administration, sir, or as in teachers?
And you name them.
This year,
administrators, I mean, you probably know how many and who.
This year, we try to minimize, so we lost one elementary teacher, but that was through attrition, so that teacher retired, so it was a position but not a person. So we just didn't refill that position.
And the class size, how much?
About one and a half children higher. We're still running about approximately between 17.8 to about 19. So,
Kids
And-
per class?
yes.
And you said that you had 6/10 of
Yeah, a couple of those
percent
things.
for a teacher, for music.
Yeah, we had a number of percentages where the board was trying to be cognizant, as you guys know you have to be, but at the same time, they didn't want to adversely affect people because of health insurance. So they reduced the music position to 0.6, but that still maintained that position with health insurance. So it was a cost savings, but not to the level that it would be if you reduced.
So the person still has health insurance, even though
Yes.
they're 6/10? And
That's-
it's in music, and Peru has been known for many years, not only for their sports, and their education,
Yeah,
but
we have
also for their music.
we still have 5.5 positions. So.
What is cut out, the lower grades, or what?
Nothing's cut out, it's just reallocating, it's tightening, in this fiscal thing, you're tightening things up. So, for example, there would be a larger ensemble group versus having two smaller ones, and maybe a larger group. So, like I said, these were minuscule compared to what it could have been. So there was a 6/10 music position, there was a 2/10 French position where we had from a full-time to 8/10 position. We had 2/10 in the English position.
So none of those, the students are not going to suffer from any of those?
No, they're not.
They're still going to get French, they're still
They're
going to
still going to
have...
get French, yes.
And-
Well, I'll give you an example why we said French. French only had 9 students in the upper level 4 and 5. 5 and 4.
Do you have any other languages?
We also offer Spanish. So
How
those,
about that, how many in that one?
much larger. So just give you an example. So what we just simply did was we combined the 2 classes together to now make it 9.
Okay.
That's a much more economical piece versus having an actual class of 4 and an actual class of 5.
Just because I'm old and I don't remember things so much, but do you still teach, things that have to do with, history and, having, I don't know how to say it, but
say it.
a knowledge of how to operate in society in terms of the...
You mean civility, you mean civility? Well, you have it, what they call PIG, participation in government, you have that course still, you're still offering,
Pig.
New York State had, they call it was abbreviated, but, the other piece is that, you still gotta remember the requirements that New York State requires to get a Regents diploma, so they have to do 4 years of English, 3 years of history, 3 maths, 3 sciences, and then also some electives. So, one of the courses I'd like to bring about, but it's not on the docket for this year, is a course called Life Skills. And what that would incorporate is critical thinking skills, daily living skills that kids need with common sense. Every kid would be required to take it, and it'd be something simple as a single pole light switch, how to troubleshoot a single pole light switch, how to put a plate on, how to change your toilet, how to change the guts of your toilet. You know how expensive plumbers are, and it would cost you a lot of money, so that the essentials of those type of critical thinking skills. How to sheetrock, how to find a
Can I
stud.
take that course?
How to find a stud in the wall, because we all know that everybody loves now the digital TVs. You can't put an anchor in a wall and expect it to hold it. You need to find a stud. So teaching kids those things, you just don't put a hole and think it's gonna, presto, it's there. So, I'm sorry?
How to push a
Yeah. So I want to make sure kids have those skills, because I think it's an essential thing that you take a life skill the rest of your life to make sure you have those critical thinking skills. Point A is good and point B is good, point C is bad. You don't go between A and B, you start at B and go to C. But a lot of times, I've seen that, so I think it's still very important that kids have those life skills also. So I'd like to tie it with one of our other halftime courses, so kids say, oh, the other thing, how to change a car tire.
Yeah, that's great. Your oil.
How to change your oil, how to change the oil of your lawnmower, what's a 2-stroke versus a 4-stroke. Make sure that you're not putting straight gas in a 2-stroke and think it's going to be good for it. I just think
I
those,
definitely have to go back to high school.
these are my feelings, but whether it's going to come to fruition with all the other requirements, hard. And also still we want kids to be, we want kids to go out and do internships and be active in the community, to be, my ultimate goal for Peru is to have kids be globally competitive. So what they see on paper and what they can do for skill sets, they can globally compete, because they're in a time frame that we're not. They're competing off the internet. They're competing with kids from China, kids from Japan and India and all those other places for the same jobs and same educational opportunities. back then, it was like New York State people only, but it transcends the lines now. So,
I'm sure you have long-range planning in terms of what you're looking at towards the future, but I certainly would hope that we wouldn't have to cut any more in the music and the, you know, I think are essential for life, because they're something that you can do all your life. And, you know, they bring a lot of positive aspects to it, as well as,
well, I think music does, I think the arts do altogether, just that in general. I also think technology does, besides just the core academics of English and math. But when you're talking about budgets now, and you're talking about the restrictions that you can with a 2% tax cap, and you went with a supermajority, it's not going to be very positive with the community saying, I need 60%. It's been a very resistive move throughout. And we'll see a number of school districts in North Country, I know 2 or 3, are going to have to go out with a supermajority this year.
I think Northeast Clinton is.
The cost drivers are what's going to, it's going to drive budgets now. You know, we don't have the ability to raise revenues and resources. You know, you're so dependent on state aid, at least Peru is, we're 60% dependent on state aid, and 40% from a levy standpoint. You can only go up with the, you know, whatever's lesser of 2% of CPI. You guys know that. I mean, you can supersede it with a common vote, but then, you know, the repercussions are the community. I have to actually go out for a vote, period. And I would have to seek supermajority, so.
So has the state budget reinstated some of the money that was supposed to come back?
It didn't come close because of my increase in cost of health insurance. I think we got an additional $900,000, but it was $1.6 million
Additional
just in health insurance. That's not even including, that's not even,
Well, the
that's
governor
not
said he was
including-
going to put a lot of more money back into it, that's why I was hoping.
The governor doesn't do that. It's usually the Senate or the House usually is the ones that are the big supporters. The governor comes out in January with his bill, and then usually you get a little restoration from the other two. So,
Thanks,
it's
Dr.
gonna be tight, no different from you guys and everything else, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And we're in the middle of a capital plan now, so we understand the ones that are not glamorous, that you have to do anyway. And I also know how it works with seeking grants for these kinds of things. Does that work like that at all in the school system?
No, but what we're looking for though is, I'm looking at every rock, every opportunity we can for grants too. But grants are very restrictive and there's a lot of strings attached, and you guys know that. And the compliance component is so critical. And, you know, you look at a lot of the competitive grants that are out there, which that is something the governor does like. But it's hard when, in the North Country, is not the greatest recipients of those opportunities. You know, so, but we are looking at every opportunity. We have a couple small ones, green effect ones for $2,500 or $5,000, but I'd love to see $1 million or a couple $1 million one. But with those type of grants, there are also a lot of restrictions on what you can and can't do. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Well,
Palmer.
thank you.
You've given us
Appreciate
a
your
very
time.
thorough analysis of the budget and things that are happening. We appreciate that.
And my door is always open to you guys too. Always come down, you want a cup of coffee and sit and talk. I mean, I'm trying to open our district up as much as we can. We're just trying to make it as strong as we can and maintain our programs in the existence they are. So they still have the orchestra and all the other components. They got, what is it, the Giant Peach. Is it Peter? Peter and the Giant Peach, whatever. There's a presentation actually going on. James and the Giant Peach. My kids are right in that age group too. So we have that going on this weekend also, and we have a number of sports teams that are doing very well right now. I think May 22nd to 21st, if anybody, we also have a spring concert. So I'll be there, so if you, please feel free. I greatly appreciate your time.
No problem.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
time.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Palmer. Thank you.
I know Cashman would say the same for here. The door's always open.
I will. I had an opportunity to meet him at the, what is it, the monthly meeting when they do with the businesses.
The
Oh, the
chamber,
chamber.
oh, the
Chamber.
chamber
I've been
after
trying to
hours?
be there. I met him at that, so, and I don't think he lives that far away from me either.
And, you know, we're also open to collaboration. We tried with a solar array at one point, and we're open to things.
Well, even that piece, or even the piece of equipment, we're talking about possibly a front loader or whatever, there's different ways. You might be advantageous in certain areas and we in others because of the state bids and the cooperative bidding, but, you know, it's about partnerships, because why double the cost of the taxpayers if we can combine
Right.
And that was something that the governor did push for anyway, is a collaborative part.
Shared services.
So I'm always willing to sit down and have discussions.
Right.
So, you know that the county legislature has to work on those things, Mike Zerlo, particularly in terms of shared services, so.
It's hard.
Any ideas that you have that might work with?
Great. Well, I'd be happy to meet with them also. I do not want to leave, but I'm hitting the Lions Club tonight. too.
Good for you.
Thank you very much.
You're-
Thanks, Dr. Palmer.
You want to leave, don't tell me that, I know we're.
I was at mine Tuesday, so have a good night.
So Cashman obviously isn't with us. He is at the NYMER conference in Bolton Landing. He wanted us to give special thanks to our highway guys, our water and wastewater, buildings and grounds, and Clinton County Office of Emergency Services, and of course our fire departments who were out with the storm last week. Does any committee members want to speak on behalf of what their departments did?
Yeah, I can speak firsthand because I saw him at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, very appreciative. Highway was right out there with us. I saw Tim. They helped us get roads blocked, etc. Great job all around. I talked to Rick for a bit on Saturday about damage to streetlights, etc. So they were hard at work, and we appreciate everything they did. One thing that did come to light that I discussed with Michael, and I did want to mention tonight, is the communication piece. So as we get closer to budget, might be good if Highway gets a little bit of money in there for a couple of radios, so they can talk directly to fire service when we're out on the road.
Okay.
We're able to get to them, but we had to go through county dispatch, and then they in turn would radio Highway. And it was just so busy.
Yeah.
It was just so much going on that it was a little bit difficult, but, that's something, if we could get that, we've talked about it a couple of times.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Tim on Saturday morning and see how things were going, and then still need to reach out to people like Rick and Scott. We should put him on the spot in terms of Supervisor Cashman. He was here, I think, at 5 a.m., so I called him Saturday morning too to see if there's anything I could do to help or whatever, but, so he was here early.
Yeah. I know the water guys had a few men out on the weekend and a couple generators at the pump stations before everything came back online. Moving on, we are reviewing our employee handbook and our policy book, which is really thick and
I've
dense.
seen it.
And I'm going over it, and Cashman is going over it, and we have our sticky notes sticking out of it, and we're gonna do a thorough job and hopefully bring on Bonnie Black to help us, and maybe some other agencies as well to make sure we're all caught up there. The Smart Growth Kickoff meeting was this week, so they brought all the committee members together. Tom, were you there?
Yeah, two of us
Talk about it all?
attended.
Go ahead, Tom.
There were 9 committee members, there was a lot of staff, 3 from Chazen. There was a good presentation. There were 20 that we have in this committee, but because they had it at 4 o'clock, many of them couldn't make it. The next meetings will be a little later, either 5:30 or 6, something like that. So we expect a good number come in, but we want as much input as possible and any ideas in terms of what we should do. And we're basically working from the corridor from Ruger Street to Tom Miller Road, that section of Kinnear Street and up to probably Morrisonville, that section. Although anything that we put in could affect the whole comprehensive land use plan. And one of the major things that we need to do is come up with local law, whatever, eventually, for solar, especially large solar installations. So we might want to consider, in the next, as soon as possible, really, a moratorium on that. And I'm probably going to be going to a Bitcoin mining in service that Hank is putting on. And they're suggesting we might want to put a moratorium on those until.
All right. But that's not part of the Smart Growth kickoff, though, is it? Was that part of the Smart?
No, I'm sorry, I
That's
got
okay.
carried away.
No, that's okay.
I better let Barbara take care of the rest of it here, because I'm off the
We can
track.
talk about it, I just want to stay on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, the only thing to add is I think the committee really try to create a dialogue and a conversation among themselves, be open-minded. I think one of the recurring things that came out of it is that education is so important. So, you know, there are people beyond the room of the kickoff committee to talk to, and that's our constituents. So we're talking about ways for community engagement. I was really interested in the model that Chazen was going to talk about and how to do that in terms of, you know, getting folks that are stakeholders just as much as anybody else to get involved. So,
Okay. And the last item is Cashman wants to start reworking some of the other committees that are in place, like the Water Advisory Committee. It's been a year now in place. Our capital plan is in progress, and he just wants to revisit and make sure that people who are on the committee are still involved and even living in the town. I know we had Christine from Ricky's office was on the committee, and she's now moved out of the town. So just want to keep our eye on all of the committees in that capacity.
and if I can just add real quick, Meg, in the Finance Committee, for instance, we're moving towards a quarterly meeting schedule rather than a monthly meeting schedule.
Okay.
Because Tom and I, what's happened is we've conducted now a quarterly audit committee process that I'm hoping the model and Tom to make that drive the objectives and what we can talk about for the Finance Committee. So again, trying to make things interesting.
Thank you. For draft resolutions, we have the minutes, we have monthly reports. We have authorizing the issuance of a 13 million serial bonds for consolidated water district improvements. A 4.5 million bond for base water district improvements. A $4.7 million serial bond for consolidated sewer district improvements. Another $1.4 million bond for base sewer district improvements. And we're going to have a request to hire Logan Williams for a seasonal temporary recreation assistant in the Parks and Rec Department. A request to attend a FERMA conference, a Flanagan Drive junkyard permit, and the updated water advisory committee.
Can I just mention something with that one, Meg?
Sure.
I did take a look at that. Maybe we could talk to Michael, just to see if we could get, we have county Office of Emergency Services representative. I think it would be good to have a fire chief, somebody from one of the fire departments.
Yeah.
Probably one of the ones that would be heavily impacted by the water, so I would suggest like District 3 or South Plattsburgh, the
Okay.
bigger
That's a
ones.
great suggestion.
So that would be in addition to the committee?
Yeah, if we could add just that one addition, I think it would be great to get the buy-in from the town fire department.
And I had originally said that I would take Marty's place on that committee, but Chuck, you're also on the water committee. If you have any interest in that, I'm open to sharing that or having you be on it, or we can talk about it.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah, I have no problem with being on it.
What districts did you say?
I would suggest either District 3 or South Plattsburgh. You know, the impact to Cumberland Head, Cadyville, or Morrisonville would be pretty limited. You know, I would think maybe even District 3, just because of the structures and the buildings that they're protecting. You know, they have all the hotels, the mall.
Great, thank you. That's everything that I have.
Meg, I don't want to, maybe, I'll make sure I'm not falling behind. Is there one for staffing agreement for a temporary position in the Codes and Zoning Department?
I don't have that on the agenda, but if it's in the packet, it's very possible.
Do you have
I
that?
have it on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, now that you say that, Cashman did mention that to me, and
Okay.
I, without getting into anything personal, I believe that's going to be needed sooner than expected.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I didn't fall behind and not follow. Okay.
So I think we're good unless anybody has anything else to add. All right, we don't have to do anything formal to end this, do we?
Well,
You have executive
Nope.
session?
We don't have an executive session.
Oh, great.